Is it unethical for me to not tell my employer I've automated my job? I currently work on a legacy system for a company. The system is really old, and although I was hired as a programmer, my job is pretty much glorified data entry. To summarize, I get a bunch of requirements, which is literally just lots of data for each month on spreadsheets, and I have to configure the system to make it work, which is basically just writing a whole bunch of SQL scripts. It's not quite as simple as that, because whoever wrote the system originally really wrote it backwards, and in fact, the analysts who create the spreadsheets actually spend a fair bit of time verifying my work because the process is so tedious that it's easy to make a mistake. As you can guess, it is pretty much the most boring job ever. However, it's a full-time job with decent pay, and I work remotely so I can stay home with my son. So I've been doing it for about 18 months, and in that time, I've basically figured out all the traps to the point where I've actually written a program which for the past 6 months has been just doing the whole thing for me. So what used to take the last guy like a month, now takes maybe 10 minutes to clean the spreadsheet and run it through the program. Now the problem is, do I tell them? If I tell them, they will probably just take the program and get rid of me. This isn't like a company with tons of IT work. They have a legacy system where they keep all their customer data since forever, and they just need someone to maintain it. At the same time, it doesn't feel like I'm doing the right thing. I mean, right now, once I get the specs, I run it through my program, then every week or so, I tell them I've completed some part of it and get them to test it. I even insert a few bugs here and there to make it look like it's been generated by a human. There might be amendments to the spec and corresponding their email etc., but overall, I spend probably 1 to 2 hours per week on my job for which I am getting a full-time wage. I really enjoy the free time, but would it be unethical to continue with this arrangement without mentioning anything? It's not like I'm cheating the company. The company has never indicated they're dissatisfied with my performance and in fact, are getting exactly what they want from employing me.
You don't sell time. You sell results. But producing subpar results to conceal the amount of time you actually work is unethical. Despite what everyone says here, you do not sell 40 hours of data entry per week, you sell the result processing X spreadsheets. Think about it this way: if you get distracted, and in 1 month make so many mistakes entering the data that the entire month gets lost, they would not fire you, but I'm pretty sure that you will face some kind of reprimand, despite working full-time. Time in this case is a measurement of the work put in. If time would be the ultimate goal, you wouldn't have different consequences for different results but the same time. You show up for 40h and that's it. But because time is used as a shortcut to express a reasonable amount of work done by a reasonably competent person in that time, results are different based on the quality of your work. I can't find the reference, but in one comment Op stated that the company made it clear in the beginning that they expect Op to work more than 40h per week if the need arises, which further reinforces my point. Unethical is the fact that you introduced bogus results in an attempt to conceal that you are faster. Unethical because is clearly dishonest, and because it may produce harm if people do not realize the incorrect result. You don't have to tell them, but you can't lie about it. From a practical point of view, I don't think that if you tell them, it would be any risk to you. From the description, it's likely that they would not understand what exactly you did, they would not trust the process, and they would not risk firing you without having a backup. However, telling them would open a strange discussion that you might not want to have. Note that there's a difference between ethics and the law, contracts and currently accepted norms. None of them have anything to do with ethics. They are the result of negotiation between two parties, one of which, currently, has much more power than the other. Also, because we are talking about ethics, I'm arguing that there should not be a difference if Op is an employee or a contractor. The difference is a legal and tax-related one, not an ethical one.
You got a job that was supposed to be a programming job but wasn't, and then you turned it into one. That, my friend, is called success. You found an escape route out of the trap of a dead-end job. But now, instead of parlaying your achievement into a real satisfying career, you are considering squandering it? This won't last forever. At some point this company and/or this legacy system will no longer be around. And then what? You put on your resume that you were a spreadsheet jockey for X years, or do you tell them that you actually are a programmer but haven't been doing anything because you never told your employer what you were doing? I'm a father too, so I get that spending time with your son is important, but you also have a life. I think you are wasting your talents, and this will ultimately make you less happy. You work remote now. There are tons of jobs on so that allow remote work. I think not telling your employer is the worst choice you can make here. At the very least, they should employ you long enough to integrate this solution into the actual application. For your own good, you probably shouldn't admit to doing nothing for any significant length of time.
I'll be the devil's advocate on this one, given that as you say you've been assigned specifically this task and they're not a technical company, so this is pretty much the one and only possible task they could possibly assign you. I see the following options. Continue as you are. After all, they pay you to get that specific job done, which you are flawlessly getting done as it is. You can perhaps get a modified contract the next time you sign one to mention the task being assigned and not total hours spent doing it to be 100% covered and not in a gray area. Mention that you can possibly create an automation script and sell it to them, which, keep in mind, means you're taking the analyst's job down as well, not just yours, so it's another ethical dilemma to ponder on. Notice I say sell and not gift it, since it was created on your own time while in parallel also manually doing the job on their time, so it doesn't really belong to the company. Your contract country's laws should cover more specifics on intellectual property to be sure on this. As I understand, you want to continue to be employed indeterminately to this employer for the time being, with your son and all, so to be in the clear in this case, you can potentially ask what other tasks you can perform for them in case you have time left from your main task, which you always will, as we know. If you ask for extra work, long-term assignments, and they have none by definition, then how you use that remaining time of yours after completing assigned tasks is up to you. As I understand, you want to continue to be employed indeterminately to this employer for the time being, with your son and all, so to be in the clear in this case, you can potentially ask what other tasks you can perform for them in case you have time left from your main task, which you always will, as we know. If you ask for extra work, long-term assignments, and they have none by definition, then how you use that remaining time of yours after completing assigned tasks is up to you.
What would you answer to this question? Please write under this video.